Hello friends, my name is Mayanka. I am accounts and a finance trainer from UPlets. Today we will cover the topic of consolidated financial statement part 2. In part 1 we have covered what is the group companies, what is the holding company and subsidiary company. We have also discussed the component of consolidated financial statement and importance of consolidated financial statement. In this video, we will cover all other important and the relevant points of consolidated financial statement. Now, we will start our video. Consolidated financial statements. Now, we will discuss the calculation of goodwill and capital reserve. We will discuss how to calculate the amount of capital reserve and the amount of goodwill. As on the date of investment, the cost of investment and the equity of the subsidiary need to be calculated. Is that when the shares or when the investments are taken by the holding company in the subsidiary company, is that on the date of investment, when the investment made by the holding company in the subsidiary company, then the cost of investment and the equity of subsidiary company is required to be calculated. The amount of investment or the amount of equity is required to be calculated at the time of investment which is made by the holding company in the subsidiary company. What is the meaning of equity? For the purpose of this, the equity means the residual interest in the assets of an enterprises after deducting all the liabilities. Is that equity means all assets minus liabilities. Is that the shareholder fund? The shareholder fund is to be known as equity. In other words, it is equal to the net worth of the enterprises. Equity is the residual interest in the assets of the enterprise after deducting all the liabilities. In other words, we can say that the equity is equal to the net worth of the enterprises. On the basis of this, we can say that the equity is the equity is the equal to the net worth of the enterprise. Once the above is calculated, the goodwill or the capital reserve is calculated as under. Is that when we calculate the amount of we calculate the amount of investment and the equity. So on the basis of this calculation, we can calculate the amount of goodwill and the amount of capital reserve. The formula of calculation of goodwill and the capital reserve is goodwill is equal to cost of investment minus parent share in the equity of the subsidiary on the date of investment. Is that if the amount of investment is more than the parent share in equity, then such difference is to be known as goodwill. Is that goodwill is equal to cost of investment minus parent share in the equity of the subsidiary on the date of investment. So such differences is to be known as goodwill. Capital reserve. The capital reserve means when the parent share in the equity of the subsidiary is more than the cost of investment, then such difference is to be known as capital reserve. Is that the capital reserve is equal to parent share in the equity of the subsidiary on the date of investment minus cost of investment. So on the basis of this, we will calculate the amount of goodwill and the capital reserve. The parent portion of goodwill in a subsidiary at the date on which investment is made is determined on the basis of information which is contained in the financial statement of the subsidiary as on the date of investment, is that the parent portion of the equity in the subsidiary company on the date of investment is determined on the basis of information which is available in the financial statement. However, if the financial statement of the subsidiary company as on date of investment are not available, if the financial statement or the financial information of the subsidiary is not available at the time of investment or at the date of investment, or when if it is impracticable to draw the financial statement of the subsidiary company as on the date of investment, then the financial statement of the subsidiary company for immediately preceding period are used for the purpose of such a consolidation. Is that if the financial statement of the subsidiary companies are not available on the date of investment for the purpose of such calculation, or it is impracticable to prepare the financial statement of the subsidiary company on such particular date, then the financial statement immediately preceding period are used for the purpose of such a calculation and for the basis for consolidation. So we will use the previous preceding period, immediately preceding period financial statement. Adjustments are made to those financial statements for effect the significant transaction. When we take the previous year's financial statement, then there is a requirement or there is a need of some adjustment in the financial statement for effect of significant transaction or other events that occur between the date of financial statement and the date of investment in the subsidiary company. It may be mentioned that positive and the negative differentiation is separately recognized in the purchase method. It is mentioned that the positive and negative differences is separately recognized only in the purchase method. This differentiation calculation as cost of control is shown in the consolidated balance sheet. So this is the calculation. This is the concept relating to the calculation of goodwill and the capital reserve. How to calculate capital reserve and the goodwill in the case of consolidation as on date when the investments are made by the holding company in the subsidiary company. Now we will discuss it by the way of example. We will consider an example for the calculation of goodwill or capital reserve. X Limited acquired 70% of the equity share of S Limited. H Limited acquired 70% of equity share of S Limited on 1st January 2011. On that date, the paid up share capital of the S Limited was 10,000 equity share of rupees 10 each. It means the paid up share capital is 1 lakh rupees. Accumulated amount of reserve was rupees 1 lakh. Z Limited paid 1,60,000 to acquire the 70% interest in the S Limited. The assets of the S Limited were revalued on 1st January 2011 and the revaluation loss of rupees 20,000. The book value of the share of S Limited is calculated as below. 70% of the equity share, 1 lakh into 70% is 70,000. 70% of accumulated reserve, 1 lakh into 70%, 70,000, and 70% of revaluation reserve loss, 20,000 into 70%, it is 14,000. So total book value of the share of S Limited is 1,26,000. 1,26,000 is the book value of the share of H Limited. So H Limited paid a positive differential of 34,000. Is that the amount of investment is 1,60,000 and the portion of holding company is 1,26,000. Then H Limited pay a positive differential which is to be known as goodwill. Such a positive differential is to be known as goodwill and it is to be shown in the balance sheet under the intangible assets, under the head of intangible assets. So when the cost of investment is more than the portion of holding company in the capital of subsidiary company, then such differences is to be known as goodwill. So 34,000 is the amount of goodwill and it is to be shown in the balance sheet under the head of intangible assets. Now we will discuss minority interest. What is the meaning of minority interest? What is the meaning of minority interest? Minority interest is that part of net result of the operations and of net assets of the subsidiary attributable to the interest which are not owned directly or indirectly through subsidiary by the holding company. The minority interest is a part of net result. The minority interest is a part of net result of the operation and of the assets of subsidiary, which is relative, which is attributable to the interest, which are not owned and which are not controlled by the holding company. Is that the minority interest is the part of net result of operation and net assets of subsidiary, which is attributable to the interest, which are not owned directly or indirectly by the holding company. In short, minority interests represent the claim of outsiders shareholder of the subsidiary. Is that the minority interest is an amount which is show the claim of outsiders shareholder. This amount is not held by the holding company. Minority interest is the net amount of income. The minority interest is the net income of the consolidated subsidiary for the reporting period, which are identified and adjusted against the income in the group in order to arrive at the net income, which is attributable to the shareholder of the holding company. So this is the meaning of minority interest, the part of the capital which is not held by the holding company. It is the part of net result of operation. It is the part of net assets of the subsidiary, which is not held by the holding company, which is held by or which is represent the portion of outsider shareholders. The minority interest should be presented in the consolidated balance sheet separately from the liability. The minority interest is presented or it is shown in the consolidated balance sheet separately from the liability and from the equity of the parent company. Minority interest in the income of the group should be shown separately. The minority interest in the income will also be disclosed separately. The minority interest in the assets and liability should be shown separately in the balance sheet, and the minority interest in the income of the group should be disclosed separately. So the minority interest should be disclosed separately. Now we will discuss profit and loss of subsidiary company. Now we will discuss next point, profit and loss of the subsidiary company. How we will calculate the amount of profit and loss of the subsidiary company and how we will bifurcate it in holding company. For the purpose of consolidated balance sheet preparation, all the reserves and profit of the subsidiary company should be classified into pre and post acquisition reserves and profit. Is that for the purpose of preparation of financial statement, consolidated financial statement of for the preparation of consolidated balance sheet, all the reserves and all the profits of the subsidiary company should be classified into two parts. Number one is pre-acquisition reserve and profit, and post-acquisition reserve and profit. Profits earned by the subsidiary company, the amount of profit which is earned by the subsidiary company up to the date of acquisition of shares by the holding company, are considered as pre-acquisition profit or the capital profit. Is that the amount of profit or the amount of loss which is earned or which is incurred by the subsidiary company up to the date of acquisition of share, means up to the date of investment which is made by the holding company, are considered as pre-acquisition or capital profit. This is the pre-acquisition profit or pre-acquisition loss. And similarly, all the reserves of subsidiary company up to the date of all the reserves of the subsidiary company up to the date of acquisition are capital reserve from the viewpoint of holding company. Is that if the holding interest in subsidiary is acquired during the middle or some other period of the current year, then the pre-acquisition profit should be calculated accordingly. The minority interest in the reserve and the profit of the subsidiary company should be transferred to minority interest account. The minority interest in the reserves and in the profit of the subsidiary company should be transferred in the minority interest account, which will also include share capital of the subsidiary company held by outsider and minority shareholder. The minority interest in the reserve and profit of the subsidiary company should be transferred. It should be transferred to minority interest account, which will also include share capital of subsidiary company, which is held by the outsider and minority shareholder. Minority interest is equal to share capital of the subsidiary company, which is relating to outsider. Minority interest is equal to share capital of the subsidiary company, which is belonging to the outsider, plus minority interest in the reserve and in the profit of the subsidiary company. Share capital of the subsidiary company, which is related to the outsider, plus minority interest in reserve and in the profit of the subsidiary company. The holding company's interest in the pre-acquisition reserve and profit and loss should be adjusted against the cost of control to find out the goodwill and to find out the capital reserve on consolidation. Is that the holding company's interest in the interest of holding company in the pre-acquisition reserve and in profit and loss should be adjusted against the amount of cost of control to find out the goodwill and to find out the capital reserve. Is that for the purpose of calculation of goodwill and calculation of capital reserve, the pre-acquisition reserve and the pre-acquisition profit and loss is required to be adjusted. The reserve and the profit of the subsidiary company representing holding company's interest in post-acquisition or revenue reserve and the profit should be added to the reserve and profit of the holding company. The reserve and the profit of the subsidiary company, which is representing the holding company's interest in post-acquisition or revenue reserve or the profit, then it should be added to the reserves and profit of the holding company. Then it should be added to the reserves and profit of the holding company. Now, we will discuss the revaluation of assets of the subsidiary company. Now, we will discuss the revaluation of assets of subsidiary company. Profit and the loss on the revaluation of the fixed assets of the subsidiary company should be treated as capital profit or capital loss. Is that in the case when there is the revaluation of the assets of the subsidiary company, and if there is any profit, on the revaluation, then it should be considered as capital profit, or if there is any loss, then it should be considered as capital loss. But if the fall in the value of assets which is occurred after the date of acquisition, then such loss should be considered as revenue loss. But if there is any revaluation loss which is arise after the date of acquisition of investment, is that if there is any fall in the value of assets which is occurred after the date of investment, then such loss should be considered as revenue. Before the acquisition, if there is any revaluation profit or revaluation loss, then it should be considered as capital profit or capital loss. After the acquisition of investment or after the date of investment, the loss should be treated as revenue. Adjustment for the depreciation would be made in the profit and loss account of the subsidiary. Adjustment of depreciation would be made in the profit and loss account of the subsidiary company. Depreciation on charged value of the asset shall be give effect to depreciation on the depreciation which is charged on the value of the asset shall be give effect to. The amount of depreciation on the revaluated asset will be taken as capital or revenue, which is depend upon the period on which depreciation belongs to. Is that the amount of depreciation on the revaluated asset will also be taken as capital or as revenue in nature, which is depend upon the nature of depreciation, and it is also depend on the period for which depreciation belongs to. So this is the revaluation of the assets of the subsidiary company. Now we will discuss the dividend which is received from subsidiary company. If there is any amount of dividend which is received by the holding company from the subsidiary company, then what will be the treatment? As per the accounting standard 30, accounting for investment, the amount of interest, amount of dividend, and the rental which is receivable in the connection with investment are generally regarded as income, being the return of investment. As per the accounting standard 30, when there is any amount of interest, there is any amount of dividend, or any amount of rental which is receivable in the respect of any investment, then it should be considered as income, or it should be considered as return on investment. However, in some circumstances, such inflow represent the cost of recovery. This is in some circumstances such inflow considered as recovery of cost. It does not consider the part of income. In some circumstances, such amount of interest, dividend, and the rental receivable is to be considered as recovery of cost, not considered as part of income. For the example, where unpaid interest has occurred before the acquisition of the interest bearing investment, and is therefore included in the price which is paid for the investment. The subsequent receipt of the interest is allocated between the pre-acquisition and the post-acquisition profit. Then the pre-acquisition portion is deducted from cost. Then the pre-acquisition portion is to be reduced from the cost of investment. So such amount may be considered as the cost, as the recovery of cost, or it may be considered a part of income. When holding company receive the amount of dividend from the subsidiary company, when there is any holding company which receive the amount of dividend from the subsidiary company, it must distinguish between the part which is receipt of the capital profit and revenue profit. When the holding company receives the amount of dividend from the subsidiary company, then it is important to bifurcate such amount of dividend between capital profit and between the revenue profit. The capital profit are credited to investment account and the revenue profit are credited to profit and loss account. Is that the amount of capital profit is to be the amount of capital profit is to be credited in the investment account, capital profit, and the revenue profit is credited to the profit and loss account. If the controlling interest, if the controlling interest was acquired during the course of year, if there is any controlling interest which is acquired during the course of a year, then the profit for that year must be apportioned into the pre-acquisition and the post-acquisition portion. If the controlling interest was acquired during the course of year, the profit for that year must be apportioned into the pre-acquisition and post-acquisition portion on the basis of time, on the basis of time in the absence of information on the point, on the basis of time in the absence of information on the points. Now we will discuss it by the way of example. XYZ Limited purchased 80% shares of ABC Limited. XYZ Limited purchased 80% share of ABC Limited on 1st January 2011 for rupees 1,40,000. The issued capital of the ABC on 1st January 2011 was rupees 1 lakh and the balance in profit and loss account is 60,000. The issued capital is 1 lakh and the amount of profit and loss is 60 lakh rupees. During the year ended 31st March, ABC Limited earned a profit of rupees 20,000 and at year end it declared the amount of dividend of rupees 15,000. During the year ended 31st March, ABC Limited earned profit 20,000 and such company declared the amount of dividend 15,000 rupees. Show by an entry how the dividend should be recorded in the books of XYZ Limited. And what is the amount of minority interest as on 1st January 2011 and 31st December 2011. Also, please check whether there should be any goodwill or any capital reserve at the date of acquisition. First, we will calculate, we will discuss the treatment of dividend. The total amount of dividend which is paid by the or which is declared by the ABC Limited is 15,000. Hence, the amount of dividend which is received by XYZ Limited will be credited to profit and loss account is 15,000 into 18% is equal to 12,000. The amount of 12,000 dividend will be transferred to or will be credited to the profit and loss account. Is that the amount of dividend is 15,000 into 18%, 12,000. It will be considered the income of XYZ Limited and it will be transferred to profit and loss account. Then the entry will be bank account debit to profit and loss account. There is a entry will be bank account debit to profit and loss account. Next is goodwill on the consolidation. Now we will discuss the calculation of goodwill or the calculation of capital reserve on the consolidation. Cost of share is 1,40,000 and we will reduce the face value of share 80% of capital, which is 80,000, and we will add the share of capital profit. Capital profit is 60,000 into 80%, total is 48,000 rupees, and the total amount हो गया, total amount is 1,28,000. Then there is the cost of share is more than the capital portion in the subsidiary company. Then the 12,000 is considered as the amount of goodwill. 10,000 is considered as the amount of goodwill. Now we will discuss the minority interest on 1st January 2021. 2011. The amount of minority interest. Minority interest is 20% of 1,60,000. The amount of interest, minority interest is 20% of 60,000, 1,60,000. It will be 32,000. And the minority interest as on 31st December 2011 is 20% of 1,65,000. 1 lakh plus 60,000 plus 20,000 minus 15,000 is that it will be 33,000. It will be 33,000 minority interest. So on the basis of this, we have calculated the amount of goodwill and the minority interest. So on the basis of the previous example, we have discussed how to calculate the amount of goodwill, how to calculate the amount of capital reserve, and how to adjust the amount of dividend. Now we will discuss another example. Excel Limited acquires 70% of equity share of ZD Limited as on 31st March 2011 at a cost of rupees 70 lakh. The following information is available from the balance sheet as on 31st March 2011. Property, plant and equipment 120, investment 55, current assets 70, loans and advances 15, 15% debenture 90, and current liability is 50. These all are the detail of assets and the liability of the organization. The following revaluation has been agreed upon, means there are the following revaluation which are made. Property, plant and equipment. Property, plant and equipment up to 20%. Up to 20%. Investments down by 10%. Is that the property, plant and equipment upward or up by 20% and investment down by 10%. Z Limited declared and paid the amount of dividend. Z Limited declared and paid the amount of dividend at the rate 20% on its equity share as on 31st March 2011. Excel Limited purchased the share of Z Limited. Excel Limited purchased the share of Z Limited at ₹20. Calculate the amount of goodwill, capital reserve on the acquisition of share of Z Limited. Now, on the basis of such question, there is a requirement to calculate the value of goodwill and capital reserve on the acquisition of shares. So, on the basis of these information, calculate the amount of goodwill and the capital reserves. Solution. Revaluate as net assets of Z Limited on 31st March 2011. Property, plant and equipment up by 20%. Then 120 into 120%. So it will be 144 lakhs. Investment down by 10%, then 49.5%. Current assets 70 lakhs. Loans and advances 15 lakh. So the total assets after the revaluation is 278.5 lakh. Less the amount of debenture 90 and the current liabilities 50. The total amount of liability 140. Then the net worth oblique the equity is 138.5 lakh rupees. So the X Limited shares of net assets is 138 into 70%, 96.95, and X Limited cost of acquisition of share is acquisition of share of Z Limited is 63 lakh rupees. Then the amount of capital reserve is 33.95. So the amount of capital reserve is 33.95 rupees. So on the basis of such example, we have discussed how to calculate, how to revaluate the net assets and how to calculate the total net assets of the organization and how to calculate the amount of goodwill or the amount of capital reserve. On the basis of such example, we have discussed. So the total cost of 70% equity is 70 lakh and purchase price of each share is 20. Then the number of share purchased 70 lakh divided by 20 rupees per share, 3.5 lakh per share. So the dividend will be 20%. The dividend is 20%. Is that 2 rupees per share, means 7 lakh rupees. Since the dividend received is for pre-acquisition method has been reduced from the cost of investment in the subsidiary company. Such 7 lakh rupees is to be reduced from the cost of the investment. Then the cost of the investment will be 63 lakh rupees. So we have covered part 2 of the consolidated financial statement, in which we have discussed some other relevant points of the consolidated financial statement. There are two another part of a consolidated financial statement. Part 1 is already covered by us. Part 2 is covered by us, and now part 3 and part 4 will be covered by us in the next videos. Kindly consider all the videos of this topic so that you can understand the full concept of consolidated financial statement. Thank you so much for watching this video. Okay, bye bye and have a nice day.